Hello and welcome to the second episode of JournaTime. We hold discussions and debates about important and relevant topics of society which need to be talked about. I am your host, Archan Kundu, and today's session moderator. Today, our panelists are Abhinav Banerjee, Anwesha Panja, Shreya Ghoshal, and Prithwish Panda. All of them are students of Adamas University. Our topic of discussion today is, does the Uniform Civil Code guarantee secularity in the country? Although quite an old aspect of the constitution, UCC gained relevance lately on July 7 when Delhi High Court asked the center to bring it in. Uniform Civil Code is a directive principle in Article 44 for the center to follow, where the constitution guides the center to make a uniform code of law for all citizens, irrespective of their religion or their caste. Delhi High Court on 7th July stated that the Indian society is slowly becoming homogenous and breaking the traditional religious and caste-based barriers. They also stated the complications which the judiciary often has to face regarding different civil laws. So it seems this problem can only be solved with UCC according to the judiciary. So to begin with, I will go to Abhinav and I will ask you, do you agree with Delhi High Court that India is actually becoming homogeneous? Please, the mic is yours.
Hello, everyone. So basically, my point of view is whatever Delhi High Court mentioned, it is happening, but not happening in that progressive way. The speed is very slow. You can say that today's generation or the open-minded people are challenging the old practices, the old tradition. Now there is a lot of interfaith marriages and a lot of things happening, but still there are a lot of people who are in that orthodox culture, who are in that patriarchal mindset, and they are also creating a lot of hurdles. So in India, there is one thing which is very common. In India, you will find every type of person, every type of mindset, and both the like every mindset is challenging every single other mindset. In that particular speed, India is becoming homogeneous, or the culture is becoming the same. It is happening, but in a very slow pace. Let it be. Don't try to make it faster. Otherwise, there will be a lot of repercussions, which is definitely not good.
So, Anwesha, what is your take on this?
My take as a student and as a young citizen of India is that it should be brought in as a law because it comprises of ideologies and it supports the very essence of secularity in India. And as India is a diversified nation of various religions, it supports the very norms of the religions that every religion sets, even marriage, divorce, adoption, or inheritance, or whatever language barrier can't justify because there are religions. Because religions has some types of norms and rules and regulations. So every individual following their respective religion has the right to follow the respective norms that that particular religion sets. So this particular uniform civil code enables that. So I totally support.
Okay, I will move on to Shreya and I will be more specific. Do you believe that the nation is becoming homogeneous as the Delhi High Court claims?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Archan, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this matter. So you asked on this whether I agree on this homogeneous thing or not. So I'm not agreed, and I'm totally agree with the point which Mr. Banerjee has said that yes, it is becoming homogeneous, but the growth is very slow. And I personally think that suddenly the implementation of this law will impact a lot. And it is not very easy to directly implement that law, and it will be very tough for people to directly convert from their personal laws to one set of rules. So that's all I think on this matter. That is my opinion on your question.
Thanks, Shreya. And Prithwish, as we got to see that there are opinions where they are saying that it is hard, as Shreya mentioned, that they can't suddenly shift from their personal laws, like the Hindu personal laws or the Muslim personal laws. The sudden shift might act as a rebound, right? So, what do you say? Is India ready to cope up with that sudden change, or how will that be implied? What do you think?
Archan, in my opinion, A radical change is never possible, and every individual, a community, or a nation has that problem of coping up with some radical changes. If I give some examples to it, take an example of when our notes were banned. There were many people who suffered due to it. It was a radical change. There were many people who suffered. So every radical decision will bring in suffering from that. Now, coming to the question of homogeneity, is India becoming a homogeneous country? In my opinion, it's not becoming, because in 2011, as the statistics says, India had 80% of Hindu majority and the largest minority, the Muslim community. In 2021, I don't know what the data is, but it's near to that. It will be near to that. I can guarantee it. So is it becoming a homogeneous nation? No. But if we are to implement this newly proposed UCC, Uniform Civil Code, India will surely become a homogeneous nation and riots can't be avoided. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, so there will be a conflict. Yes, Abhinav, you want to say something?
See, from childhood onwards, what a Indian student learns in India, there is unity in diversity. This is a very basic three words what every child or every student in India learn. That India is having the unity in diversity. We celebrate our diversity, right? There is no need for that uniform thing. Like in India, in even Hindu culture, what Prithwish mentioned, that 80% are Hindu. Very true. But in that also, 80% Hindu, not every Hindu is following the same custom. Not every Hindu is following the same god or deity or worshipping the same particular custom or same practices. Like there are Marwari marriages, there are Bengali marriages, there are Bihari marriages. Customs are different. There are a lot of different customs in even Hindu marriages also. The 80% Hindu majority is there, but everything is different. For the same reason, there is one data. For the same reason, the Law Commission of India made a committee and they did a survey. But in that also, what happened? The committee mentioned some of the following points which Law of Commission of India has mentioned. Let me just mention that point. That first, difference does not always imply discrimination in a robust democracy. Second, a nation does not necessarily need to have uniformity. Third, cultural diversity cannot be compromised to the extent of preserving uniformity. In our Indian culture, we always think marriage as a culture, or we always celebrate everything. The marriage is also celebrated, everything is celebrated. It is our part of a culture. If we try to make it on a single path lane, there will be lot of problems, there will be lot of riots. And also the committee also mentioned one more thing, as uniformity itself cannot become a threat to the territorial integrity of the nation. These all points were mentioned. So you cannot say that there is particularly need. Delhi High Court has mentioned, but Law Commission of India in 2018, they mentioned these things earlier. And even the popular newspaper, the Hindu, they made a headline out of it.
Right. So Abhinav gave us a very valuable point that uniformity does not mean that everyone has to walk on the same path. So my question will be, so we are considering that we are not taking in UCC. But again, we have to consider the fact that the Delhi High Court mentioned that the judiciary is facing problems due to this diverse system of personal laws, for Hindu personal laws, for Muslim personal laws. And there are many tribal cases as well, which was like on the very case on which the Delhi High Court commented was a dispute between the Hindu personal laws and the Meena tribe laws. So we have to consider the fact that there are too many paths now. So if we are not working on a single path, if we are considering the fact that UCC can't be adapted, do we think that each and every path, we don't know how many religions there are, if we go to the minor religions as well, that we will have to consider and develop laws for each and every religion to like specify the rights of the people? The question goes to Prithwish.
Archan, one thing you said right, that there are a lot of customs. Now, there is one way we can bridge these gaps, the gaps among these customs, not only in a single religion, but also among the other religions. That is, we will not touch the customs that relates to personal matters. For example, marriage. For example, take the death ceremonies. We will not touch them. What we can do in the Uniform Civil Code is that we will see how the land disputes are solved, how the other disputes over which there are a lot of confusion, those are solved. If we can unify these two parts, then I guess the problem can be a bit less, if not completely eradicated.
But then what about the times when the courts are facing the problems regarding marriage and divorce? Because if I refer to the very specific case where for which Delhi High Court commented, it was a dispute between a participant, a citizen of a Meena tribe, a woman who married a man. They got married on the basis of Hindu Marriage Act. But when there was a time for divorce, the woman asked to get divorced on the basis of the Meena Tribes Act, because in that way she would get the benefits. So now there will always be cases, and there are cases where the judiciary is facing a huge problem on which path to follow. So how will that problem be solved? Because already the judiciary is very slow. And if these things sustain, then it will become slower day by day. Yes, Abhinav?
I think I should add one more point into your conversation, Archan, that even like in India, the Hindus have just right to get married, like Hindu males have just right to get married with a one Hindu girl. Bigamy is not allowed, or polygamy is not allowed in that sense. But in Muslim community, it is relevant. Not everyone is doing it, but then also it is, in some cases it is still relevant, and they can go with that a single Muslim can marry more than one woman. So when the Hindu man generally does that thing, that he marries two women to save himself, he changes his religion, he convert himself from Hindu to Muslim so that he cannot be punished. So that is also one more point, that from saving himself from the judiciary, from saving himself to be get punished, he is changing the religion, because there is not no uniform civil code, because in every particular rules and regulations there are something different formats, and in that format, that particular man who is a culprit, who is a not a victim, he is a culprit, he can save himself. So judiciary is more concerned about those cases.
Right, I got that point. So this thing where you stated that the Hindu Marriage Act and obviously the Muslim personal laws, they are conflicting at some points, right? And we have to understand, when the Uniform Civil Code will be written down, they will follow something which one or the other personal law will conflict with. So because Hindus are the majority, we can consider that it will be a bit biased towards the Hindus. So will that be a problem? The question goes to Anwesha.
Absolutely, it will. Like every other thing in the world, it also has pros and cons. And what we can do best is tally those pros and cons and see which part is heavier. Because if we listen to what the Uniform Civil Code has to offer, we are getting precise majority of good solved cases and easier work for the lawmen and henchmen of our government. But the thing is that you can't take culture out of an individual like within such a less time, because from when we are born we are expected to follow some rules and regulations. We are being brought up in certain households with certain rules, so that is what we have perceived, and that's literally in our bloodstream, metaphorically speaking. So you can't just take it out. So if it is happening, it can be useful because it will be easier for the lawmen to go on with precise success in the rates of the pending cases. But it's gonna cause riots, and it's gonna cause very big indifferences in people and disturb the very credibility of secularism. which is also mentioned in our constitution that India is a secular country and it promotes diversity. So we have to look for an alternative where we are not disturbing the peace of either side. So yeah, I probably feel, and I don't probably feel, I feel that we should tally both the pros and cons, and which side is heavier, majority always wins.
Thank you, Anwesha. And according to Anwesha, we have to look at the pros and cons. I will come to our last question, that this Uniform Civil Code, which promises that according to the Delhi High Court, that it will bring secularism in the country, it will bring unity. But the thing is India ready? Are we enforcing that unity through these laws, or will they be accepted easy? Which one will happen? What do you think, Abhinav?
See, after 1984 anti-Sikh riots, the minority group of our India, they are very scared. Majority, in that minority also there is particular community who is in majority, the Muslims and the Sikhs. They are in panic, they are in tension, they are in that particular in negative emotions, that if the Uniform Civil Code thing happens, the Hindu Marriages Act or the particular Hindu customs or the Hindu rules and regulations will be implied to them also, right? But in our Constitution of India, Article 25 to 28, there is freedom of religion. You can practice that. Article 21, there is right to privacy. You can have that. So if there is, and what Anisha said, that India is a secular country, do you think there is any secularism if a particular citizen of our India is having the fear that he will lost his particular cultural or religion identity? It is not possible. If a particular person is having a fear that he will lose his cultural religional identity that by implying the Uniform Civil Code, then I don't think India is any more secular.
Right. Shreya, your take on this?
No, I personally think that people of India are not actually very ready for this because our constitution gives us the freedom of religion. And if the act implements, then I think it will directly hurt on the sentiments of the people, their religion. And no one wants to, even I'm a Bengali, I'm a Hindu Bengali, I will never want to lost my culture, lost my customs, lost my personal customs, and directly convert to one set of laws. So I don't think it will come to a secularism, or it will give us the tagline that India is a secular country.
Thank you, Shreya. Yes, Anisha wants to say something.
I have always thought of democracy as a big sink where all the laws or all the norms have are dishes that clank together. So if you're implementing a law, someone or something has got to do a compromise. Like murder is a crime, so the criminals got to compromise. So just like that, even in when it comes to Uniform Civil Code, you you are allowing or you are presenting with a uniform set of laws where people are following without any confusion, so that it helps the law abiding citizens to follow such a norm that isn't confusing or isn't harder for the henchmen to control or rely on to when they present a case in a court of law. But you are also compromising the very essence of that person, because a person is defined by the society he or she is in. So, and the society is defined by social institutions, their religion, their culture. So, yeah, you are compromising the very essence of that person. That's all I have got to say.
And Prithwish, do you want to add 2 lines to this?
According to me, India has always been a land of acceptance. We accept people just as they are. So, from the beginning of the timeline of Indian history, we have been accepting a lot of people. So, this has given us a heterogeneous position where nothing is of our own. No one particular community can say that this is my land, this is our land. And when it comes to unifying everyone under one single law, it becomes very much difficult. Will it cause problems? It may or it may not. It depends on the whims of the people who are implementing it. So if we are careful about how we are implementing it, And in my opinion, when the memories of Delhi riots and the farm riots are very much fresh, we cannot afford to have another riot regarding Uniform Civil Code. That's my opinion on it. Thank you, Archan.
Thank you. So, with what Prithwish said, I would like to end today's session that there is a heterogeneous aspect to our nation. And as Rabindranath Tagore said in his book of Nationalism, that even though we see that in many of the nations, they form a law based on homogeneous aspects because they are all homogeneous. But India is not like that. We are all different, but we are all united. And so we need laws different than any other continent or any other country. So with that, we come to a point where we know that uniform civil laws, India is not yet ready for the uniform civil code, but yes, it is something very important which we need. So India has to prepare with education and with understanding. The people have to be prepared to accept that. And I hope we will slowly reach that point in time. Thank you to all our panelists today. And thank you so much. Follow our blog site, JournaPost, and stay tuned for the next episode.